Am I audible and visible to everyone? Kindly let me know so that we can start it off. All right. So good evening, everyone. So we will be dealing with the current affairs for today for 1st of November 2022. And let's begin with the very first one. So this is the C-295 aircraft. So let's read a little bit about it. So on the 30th of October, Pradhan Mantri Narendra Modi, he laid the foundation stone of a C-295 aircraft manufacturing plant in Vadodara. And this is the first time that an aircraft, which is a military aircraft, will be manufactured by a private sector company in our country. So what we need to keep in mind is, just give me 1 second, that the manufacturing unit is in Vadodara. And it is also the very first time that C-295 aircraft will be manufactured out of Europe. So these are the two things that we need to keep in mind for this. Apart from that, where is the C-295 produced and by whom? So originally, the C-295 was produced by Spanish aircraft manufacturer named Constantius Aeronautics SA, and this company is now a part of a company called Airbus, and Airbus's manufacturing plant is in Spain. So in September 2021, our Indian government, we had signed a deal with the Airbus Defence and Space, and we said that we are going to procure 56 C-295 aircrafts because we wanted to replace the Indian Air Force's aging Avro 748 planes, which is of British origin, which had entered into our services in 1960. So ye wale hamare purane ho gaye. We wanted new planes to replace the Avro 748 planes. And so hence in 2021, our Indian government, we signed a deal with the Airbus Defence and Space. Now, under this particular agreement, out of these 56 C-295 aircrafts, the 16 aircrafts were to be given in a flyaway condition. That means banke turant usi samay pe ye hame mil jayenge. And the subsequent 40 aircrafts would be manufactured by Tata Advanced System Limited in Vadodara. So what we have done is we are taking the know-how from this particular company, which is Airbus, and we said 56 में से जो 16 C-295 aircrafts हैं, इनको आप हमें flyaway condition में दे दो कि finally assemble करके पूरी की पूरी चीज स्पेन से हमें मिल जाए within the next 4 years. And the subsequent 40 aircrafts, we will do an industrial partnership between Airbus and Tata Advanced System, and then we will possibly manufacture it or assemble it in our country. Now, the 16 flyaway aircrafts are scheduled to arrive between September 2023 and August 2025. The first made in India aircraft will be rolled out from this facility in Vadodara in September 2026, and the remaining will have to be produced by August 2021. So, aaj nahi ho rahe, abhi hum logon ne, it is soon to be manufactured, and this particular manufacturing unit is in Vadodara is what we have to keep in mind. Apart from that, what are the technical specifications of C-295? So it will have 5 ton storage capacity, and it has a maximum speed of 480 kilometers per hour, right? It has a rear ramp door, so that, for quick reaction and for para-dropping of troops and of cargoes also, right? Short takeoff and landing from semi-prepared services. So also the cabin dimensions of 12.7 meters or 41 feet and 8 inches. And it can accommodate 71 seats, whereas the one that we are trying to replace, the Avro 748 planes, used to have around a capacity of 48 odd seats. So now it will be 71 seats. So that's good. So it can carry more people, it can carry more cargo, and it requires a very relatively smaller place for takeoff and landing. And it can also do the same on semi-prepared lands, is what we can keep in mind. All 56 aircrafts will be fitted with indigenous electronic warfare. And this, good evening everyone. So this indigenously prepared electronic warfare suit is to be prepared by Bharat Electronic Limited and Bharat Dynamic Limited. The Defense Secretary Ajay Kumar has said that the indigenous content in this plane will be the highest ever in India, which is basically 96% of the work. And all of this manufacturing will be done in Vadodara. In which terrain can the C-295 operate, or in which terrain has the C-29 295 ever operated in the world? So it has operated in the Brazilian jungles, in the Colombian mountains, the deserts, right, and of the Middle East, in cold climates also, and it has also flown in military operations in Chad, Iraq, and Afghanistan. So that means जंगल से लेके माउंटेन से लेके डेजर्ट से लेके कोल्ड क्लाइमेट से लेके मिलिट्री ऑपरेशंस में it can be used in many different terrains. So that is also good for us. And what are the roles that the C-295 can perform? So as a tactical transport aircraft, it, like we just spoke about it, not only can it carry troops, it can also carry cargo. So this can also be a part of the logistics policy of our country. And we've already spoken about the short takeoff and landing route and short airstrips, which are just about 2,200 feet long. Usse bhi wo takeoff or landing kar sakta hai, right? And low speed iski 110 knots hai. And जब ये चीज बन जाएगी, जब हम लोग इसको रोल आउट कर देंगे, तो not only can it be used for national security purposes, but we can also use the same for medical evacuation, for special missions, for disaster response, so on and so forth. So this is to do with your C-295. The next thing that we have to keep in mind is what the calamity that has just taken place in Morbi. I know all of you must have read about it, and it's quite unfortunate whatever has happened. We are going to read about whatever can be asked from this particular topic in our competitive examination. So how a suspension bridge works and what could have happened in Gujarat's Morbi. So agar aapko aapke samne ye suspension bridge वगैरह दिख रहा है, जहाँ पे there are vertical suspenders, there are suspension cables over here, right? There are towers in these two places, on the two ends, and the bridge is right here, and your suspension cable is upar. Okay, I'm ruining the diagram, I know it, but I'm just trying to show it to you. So the bridge that collapsed in Gujarat's Morbi has killed at least 134 people. And this bridge was a suspension bridge like the one that you can see on your screen. And it is a type in which the deck is hung below the suspension cables on vertical suspenders, as you can see on your screen. So a little bit about this bridge and about this place and the river that passes through over here. So very first thing is, this is the 19th century bridge. Abhi thodi der mein dekhenge ki kisne banaya, kab banaya, kaun si company ne banaya. So 19th century ka bridge hai, and it had just reopened days after repairing it for almost 6 months. And you know, there is this really heart-wrenching video also that is being viral, which was taken a few minutes before this bridge collapsed. And right now we are trying to probe into the incident as to kya reason hai jis wajah se ye cheez hui hai. Up till now, what our newspapers are saying is that the twin suspension cables arising from the towers. So the suspension cables are over here, right? This entire thing. So they say the twin suspension cables and, the vertical cables are holding up. They say what seems to have given way is the vertical cable on one end of the bridge. So ye yahan pe ye jo vertical cable on one end of the bridge, it seems to have given way. But the probe is still on, and we don't really know what is the exact reason for this. The Golden Gate Bridge and the Brooklyn Bridge of the US are examples of suspension bridges. India's longest single-lane motorable suspension bridge is the 725-meter Dobra-Chanti suspension bridge, which is built over Tehri Lake in the Tehri district of Uttarakhand, which was inaugurated in 2020. अब ये पर्टिकुलर ब्रिज जो अभी कोलैप्स हुआ है, गुड इवनिंग हिमांश, ये जो अभी कोलैप्स हुआ है, दिस इज इसको माछू रिवर बोल देते हैं, एंड दिस ब्रिज वाज पॉपुलरली कॉल्ड द झूलता पुल. right? It had just been opened up. We just spoke about it कि इसका repair वगैरह चल रहा था और open up होने के बाद, of course, the incident happened, and it was reopened for tourists on October 26 to mark the Gujarati New Year Day. अब जो स्टेप्स लिए गए हैं वो काफी मतलब किसी भी नेचुरल डिजास्टर के बाद ये स्टेप्स लिए जाते हैं. सो फॉर एग्जांपल, गुजरात चीफ मिनिस्टर भूपेंद्र पटेल has announced that they will give 4 lakh to the families of those who were killed and 50,000 to those who have been injured. Apart from that, the office of PMO जो office है, in that Narendra Modi ji has announced an additional relief of rupees 2 lakh, which they said that they will take from the Prime Minister's National Relief Fund. So we will talk about the Machu River also, and where does it originate and where does it flow out into and all of that. And we will also talk about the Prime Minister National Relief Fund, but after we deal with the entire bridge completely, okay? So अब क्या है, ये झूलतो पुल जो है, ये it was built by the erstwhile king Vaghaji Thabor of Morbi in 1887. And at that time, it is said, there was a book that was taken out by the Morbi municipality, wherein they said कि जब ये ब्रिज बना था उस समय पे 15 से ज्यादा लोग इस ब्रिज के ऊपर नहीं खड़े होते थे, because लगता था कि ये ब्रिज will give way. In fact, 1 rupee was also taken because only a limited number of people could go on that bridge at that particular time. So the fabrication of this particular bridge was done by the Mumbai-based engineering company. The engineering company is Richardson and Cruddas. Now, Richardson and Cruddas, which was founded in 1858, had made this particular bridge in 1887. This company right now is a central public sector enterprise, and it is under the administrative control of Ministry of Heavy Industries. Ministry of Heavy Industries, very simple. The cabinet minister is Mahendra Nath Pandey. It was established in 1858, and then it was nationalized in 1972. 1971 में गरीबी हटाओ कैंपेन हो रहा था, तो बहुत सारे नेशनलाइजेशन हुई थी, उनमें से एक ये भी था. अब अगर हम बात करें, this झूलतो पुल was made during the reign of Vaghaji Thakur, who had ruled Morbi from 1870 to 1922. And this particular bridge was basically made to connect Darbarghat, the palace, and Nazarbagh. And the material that was used to make this particular bridge was imported from England. It was 765 feet long and about 4 feet wide, right? And the bridge was built when Gujarat was a part of the Bombay presidency. फिर उसके बाद आपको पता ही है, State Reorganization Act के बाद, state of Bombay got converted into Gujarat and Maharashtra. We are all aware of that. अच्छा, अभी हाल ही में the Morbi-based Oreva Group, this company was awarded the contract to maintain and manage the bridge. And so, अब इसके भी this Morbi-based Oreva Group company is also giving its stance, and the entire probe is happening. So we will not say who is wrong and who is right over here, because we obviously don't know about it. जितना हमें पता है इसके बारे में, statistics, वो सारे हम कर रहे हैं. अब इसके अलावा, if we talk about the Machu River. Now, the Machu River is at an elevation of 220 meters above sea level, and it is located in Gujarat, Western India, and it originates in the Madla Hills. Kitna length hai iska? 130 kilometers, and the catchment area is 2,515 square kilometers. जहाँ पे वो catchment area मतलब वो सारा पानी भर जाता है ना land से आके. The right bank tributaries of the Machu River are Jamburi, Mania and Machori, and Maha. Beti and Asoi are the tributaries on the left bank. So like I said, this particular river, it rises in the hill ranges of Jazdan, Sardar and Mandwa in the Rajkot district, right? And Chotila in the Surendranagar district. It flows in a northwesterly direction along the district boundaries of Surendranagar and Rajkot up to the village Beti. Then फिर ये नॉर्थ की तरफ चले जाती है, तो नॉर्थ वेस्टली डायरेक्शन में जाते, फिर उसके बाद ये नॉर्थ में चली जाती है. नॉर्थ में कहाँ पे? इन द राजकोट डिस्ट्रिक्ट, एंड फाइनली इट डिसअपियर्स नियर माल्या इन द रन ऑफ कच्छ. So we should know कहाँ से आई, कहाँ पे गई, क्या क्या इसकी tributaries हैं, इसका क्या length है, all of that we can keep in mind. Another thing is the Machu Dam. Now ये तो Machu Bridge हो गया ना, जो झूलता पुल ब्रिज है, या मोरबी के अंदर जो है. माचू डैम भी 1979 में एक बार ब्रेक डाउन हो गया था, एंड इस वजह से पूरी की पूरी जो सिटी थी, इट वाज सबमर्ज्ड इन वाटर within 15 minutes. So that tragedy has, this particular place has also seen that tragedy back in 1979. Okay. अब बात करते हैं प्राइम मिनिस्टर नेशनल रिलीफ फंड की, जिसमें से प्रधानमंत्री जी ने भी इसमें, people, he's going to give money to the people who have suffered in this incidents. So Prime Minister National Relief Fund, in pursuance of an appeal made by the then Pradhan Mantri, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, this was basically made in 1948, right? And what was this basically used for? कि जो भी लोग डिस्प्लेस होके पाकिस्तान से आ रहे थे, उनके मेंटेनेंस के लिए, उनकी जरूरतों के लिए जो भी यहाँ पे पैसा होता था, उसको यूटिलाइज किया जाता था. आज की डेट पे प्राइम मिनिस्टर नेशनल रिलीफ फंड इज प्राइमरीली यूज्ड to give it to the families of those who have been killed in natural calamities like floods, like cyclones, earthquake, etc., and also to the victim of the major accidents and riots, right? A disbursement from this fund is made at the discretion of the prime minister. तो ये prime minister के ऊपर होता है कि कितना पैसा किसको कब देना है from this particular fund. अच्छा, अगर हम ये भी बात करें तो क्या इस फंड में बजटरी अप्रूवल से पैसा आता है? तो बिल्कुल भी नहीं. The entire fund accepts only and only voluntary donations from individuals as well as institutions. So it does not get any budgetary support. इसमें the corpus is invested in various forms with scheduled commercial banks. क्योंकि क्या होता है कि जब फंड में आपने पैसा रखा हुआ है तो वो पैसे से पैसा बन नहीं रहा है. So obviously, if you want to increase the amount of money in that particular fund, then you ought to invest it. So we usually take the money from here, we invest it in scheduled commercial banks and in other agencies, and then, the quantum increases. But we never put in money from the budgetary approval. पैसा इसमें सिर्फ और सिर्फ voluntary donation से आता है. It comes under the Prime Minister, as the name suggests, and ये use कहाँ पे होगा? That will also be decided by the Prime Minister. Another thing that you have to keep in mind is that it is not a statutory fund. ये कोई पार्लियामेंट के एक्ट के द्वारा नहीं बना है. ये प्राइम मिनिस्टर मतलब एग्जीक्यूटिव एक्शन से ये बना है back in 1948, right? And who operates this? Obviously, the disbursement is at the discretion of the prime minister, but operate इसको कौन करता है? आपका prime minister's office. Prime minister's office, very, very simple, non-constitutional, non-statutory body. This body, it can be termed as an extra constitutional body because it is made by virtue of a decision of the cabinet. And काम क्या करते हैं? It gives advice to the prime minister of your country. तो हमने क्या क्या बातें कर ली यहाँ पे? We've spoken about the fact कि ये कब बना था ये वाला bridge. We've also spoken about the fact कि कौन सी river यहाँ पे associated है. पहले के टाइम पे जब ये bridge बना था तो कौन से राजा थे उस समय पे? Which company had made the bridge, Richardson and Crudis? And which company got the contract to do maintenance of this particular bridge, which is Morbi-based Oreva Group. Apart from that, we've also spoken about the fund from which the victims and their families will get money, and that is the Prime Minister National Relief Fund. Let's go ahead. The next one is genetically modified mustard crop. बहुत ही सिंपल सा कॉन्सेप्ट है. अब क्या है जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड का प्लेन सिंपल शब्दों में क्या मतलब है? कि मतलब कभी भी हम अगर जेनेटिकली मतलब साइंटिफिक तरीके से किसी एक क्रॉप के ट्रेट्स उठा के दूसरे क्रॉप में अगर हम डाल रहे हैं तो उसको हम जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड बोल रहे हैं, बिकॉज दिस इज नॉट हैपनिंग नेचुरली. नाउ व्हाई विल वी डू दैट? वी कैन डू दैट टू इंक्रीज द न्यूट्रिशनल कैपेसिटी ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर क्रॉप. We can also do that so that वो pest resistant हो जाए, उसके ऊपर pest attack ना हो पाए. We can also do it so that we can increase the productivity. अगर हम खुद ही बना रहे हैं, scientists बना रहे हैं, तो best possible traits को साथ में मिला के they can put together a crop. अब फूड क्रॉप की अगर हम बात करें तो हमारे देश में जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड फूड क्रॉप कभी भी अभी तक नहीं अप्रूव हुआ है। जीएम मस्टर्ड की भी अगर हम बात करें तो आज की डेट पे ग्रो नहीं हो रहा है, अभी सिर्फ अप्रूवल आया है। उसकी बात साइड में, जो बीटी कॉटन है, that is the first genetically modified crop that has been given approval, but that is not a food crop. And you have to realize that ever since BT cotton has been given approval, it has happened that, you know, our cotton production in India has increased a lot. तो आपका होमवर्क हो गया, बीटी कॉटन को अप्रूवल कब मिला था सरकार से, तब से लेके अब तक राइट नाउ, यू नो, 90% ऑफ द कॉटन एकरेज, मतलब जितने भी लोग कॉटन प्लांटेशन कर रहे हैं उसमें से 90% जो लैंड है वो कॉटन की प्लांटेशन बीटी कॉटन से यूज करके कर रहे हैं, और हमारी प्रोडक्टिविटी बहुत ज्यादा इंक्रीज हो गई है। अच्छा, फिर हम जीएम मस्टर्ड को अभी अप्रूव क्यों नहीं कर रहे, या व्हाई इज इट टेकिंग सो मच ऑफ टाइम? That is because of the fact that a human being is going to consume this. Now, of course, we can make a genetically modified crop, but we don't know how it is going to interact with the human body. What if, you know, there are certain allergies that a human body might, you know, develop because of this? What if एक super pest बन जाए इसके कारण? What if it is not nutritious at all? What if it has a very, very bad impact upon the environment? So keeping all of that in mind, which is that authority that is going to take care of genetically modified crops in India? So there is this authority called the Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. इसमें कौन होता है, कब बना, बाद में, पर ये कौन से वाले मिनिस्ट्री के अंदर आता है? मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एनवायरमेंट, फॉरेस्ट एंड क्लाइमेट चेंज। अब ये वाली मिनिस्ट्री के अंदर ये जो जेनेटिक इंजीनियरिंग अप्रेजल कमिटी है, इसका काम इतना ही है कि ये अप्रूवल देगा कि ये जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड क्रॉप को अप्रूवल मिलना चाहिए कि नहीं मिलना चाहिए। इसके अप्रूवल की वजह से जेनेटिकली मॉडिफाइड क्रॉप बनने नहीं लग जाएगा, ये तो स्टेप 1 है। एंड दिस इज व्हाट हैज हैपेंड विद जीएम मस्टर्ड, that the genetic engineering appraisal committee has now given a green signal to the hybrid mustard DMH11 seed. अब इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि फार्मर्स इसको उगाने लग जाएंगे, इसका मतलब ये है कि अब नाउ द बॉल इज इन द गवर्नमेंट्स कोर्ट कि उन्होंने हाँ बोलना है कि नहीं बोलना है। Now, so what exactly is hybrid mustard? So basically it means we are crossing two genetically dissimilar plant varieties that can even be from the same species. और वो इसीलिए हम लोग कर रहे हैं ताकि ये क्रॉप थोड़ा सा और रोबस्ट हो जाए टुवर्ड्स पेस्ट अटैक, और प्रोडक्टिविटी उसकी और ज्यादा इंक्रीज हो जाए। वी ऑलरेडी स्पोकन अबाउट इट। सो हाइब्रिडाइजेशन कैसे अचीव करी, किसने अचीव करी? तो साइंटिस्ट एट द दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटीज सेंटर फॉर जेनेटिक मैनिपुलेशन ऑफ क्रॉप प्लांट्स, तो दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी का एक सेंटर है विच इज primarily made for genetic manipulation of crop plants. इन्होंने डेवलप किया है ये हाइब्रिड मस्टर्ड DMH11, जिसको एक ग्रीन सिग्नल दे दिया है जेनेटिक इंजीनियरिंग अप्रेजल कमिटी। नाउ द गवर्नमेंट विल डिसाइड व्हाट टू डू विद इट। नाउ GEAC ये वाली जो बॉडी है, it basically gives appraisal of the proposals relating to the release of GM crops. And like I said, in other words, green signal has been given for commercial cultivation by farmers, but finally it has to be approved by the government of India. That hasn't happened yet. Now, will the Indian farmers finally plant GM mustard? Definitely not this year, as there are no seeds available. Also, the government of India has to keep it in mind, and we have to see whether the central government will accept the recommendation or not. Also, the planting season for the crop, which is October to early November, is virtually over. तो अगर होगा तो next year तक ही होगा, when the central government says yes. The recent clearance for the release of the GM mustard is based on the recommendations of GEAC. We've done that, right? The decision to remove the unscientific ban on GM crops reflects the determination of the government to move towards Atmanirbhar Bharat. तो मैंने आपको बीटी कॉटन के बारे में बात बताई, वो फूड क्रॉप तो है नहीं, लेकिन जब इसको अप्रूवल मिल गया तो आप देखो कॉटन की प्रोडक्शन कितनी ज्यादा इंक्रीज हो गई। तो अब वो खा नहीं रहे हैं ना, तो उसमें फिर भी हम लोगों ने ये चीज कर ली है। चलो पहन तो रहे हैं वो अलग बात है, बट इस चीज को हम इंजेस्ट करने वाले हैं। तो अब वी हैव टू सी वेदर इट इज गोइंग टू बी ओके फॉर द ह्यूमन बॉडी और नॉट, एंड वी हैव टू सी वेदर द सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट सेज yes or not. Now, Genetically Engineering Appraisal Committee, it functions under the Union Ministry of Environment. We have already done that. As per the rules 1989, this is responsible for appraisal of activities, and it sees it from the environmental angle and also sees whether it is hazardous or not, right? So chairman is Shri A.K. Jain, and Shri A.K. Jain is basically the additional secretary and chairperson, additional secretary of Ministry of Environment and chairperson of Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee. ठीक है जी, तो ये हो गया आपका GM mustard crop. Now the next thing that we are going to talk about is investment via participatory notes rises to 87,813 crore rupees in September. Now what is this participatory note? So क्या होता है कि whenever any organization, any foreign company has to come and invest in India, of course it has to get itself registered with the Securities Exchange Board of India. तो Securities Exchange Board of India के साथ register करवा के ये बाहर एक foreign वाली जो company है ये आके invest वगैरह करती है according to whatever are the standards set. लेकिन हमने क्या किया, हमने एक न्यू टाइप की चीज शुरू की, P notes, participatory notes. इसमें हमने क्या बोला, हमने कहा यार एक कंपनी है, कंपनी ए, जिसको हमने बोल दिया फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर, इसने खुद को रजिस्टर करवा लिया है सेबी के साथ. अब हमने फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर को क्या बोला, हमने कहा ये आप एक पी नोट ले लो. तो पी नोट इज बेसिकली एक, सोच लो एक ऐसे नोट सा इनको मिल गया जहां पे गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया का ठप्पा है और लिखा हुआ है कि जो भी ये पी नोट लेकर आता है दैट पर्सन कैन इन्वेस्ट इन इंडिया. So they can participate in the share market in India. तो अब ये सारे के सारे ये blank pages जो basically किसी को भी दे दिए जा सकते हैं by the foreign institutional investor, अब इसमें government of India का ठप्पा लग गया. अब virtually anyone can come and they can, come and invest in India. We can't even say no to them. अब क्या है, ये इंस्ट्रूमेंट बहुत ज्यादा पॉपुलर हो गया बिकॉज नोबडी हैड टू गेट देमसेल्व्स रजिस्टर्ड. एक फॉरेन इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर है, अपने देश में जाता है, सबको पार्टिसिपेटरी नोट दे देता है, वो लोग आ जाते हैं इंडिया में, वो आके यहाँ पे इन्वेस्ट करके चले जाते हैं. लेकिन इसी तरीके से वो तो पूरा का पूरा मैनिपुलेट कर सकते हैं इंडियन स्टॉक मार्केट को, तो हमें तो कुछ करना पड़ेगा इस पर्टिकुलर चीज के लिए. सो हमने क्या किया, इंडियन रेगुलेटर्स ने 2007 में तो थोड़ी देर के लिए बैन ही कर दिया. हमने कहा यार बहुत ज्यादा कैपिटल फ्लो हो रहा है, इतना कैपिटल फ्लो होगा तो अप्रिसिएशन ऑफ रुपी हो जाएगा. अच्छा तुक्का मार के बताओ, जब अप्रिसिएशन ऑफ रुपी होता है तो एक्सपोर्ट्स महंगे हो जाते हैं कि सस्ते हो जाते हैं? व्हेन देयर इज अप्रिसिएशन ऑफ रुपी, डू द एक्सपोर्ट्स बिकम चीपर और डू दे बिकम मोर एक्सपेंसिव? कम ऑन. ड्यू टू द अप्रिसिएशन. अगर नहीं भी आता तो भी लिख के बताओ, चलो try it out, doesn't matter. My question is, there is appreciation of rupee because a lot of people are getting dollars into our country. So if a lot of people are getting dollars into our country, there is appreciation. Because of appreciation, do exports become more expensive or not? And Sindhuja and Himansh, you are absolutely 100% correct. Well done. Exports expensive हो जाते हैं. एंड सो एक लेवल से ज्यादा हम नहीं चाहते एक्सपोर्ट्स एक्सपेंसिव हो जाए यार. ऑल्सो कोई केवाईसी तो हो ही नहीं रहा है, हमें क्या पता कौन आके पैसा लगा के चला जा रहा है. और सेबी बेचारा कुछ बोल ही नहीं पाता क्योंकि सेबी ने पार्टिसिपेटरी नोट शुरू किया है. Then later on, what we did was in 2011, we said FIIs have to follow through the KYC norms. And now not only do we have Government of India ka thappa, but also the name of the person who has been given this participatory note. So that is a very good thing. Secondly, in 2014, SEBI also said that these foreign portfolio investors, foreign institutional investors, they have to send in a monthly report कि भाई ये वाली कंपनी ने कितने पार्टिसिपेटरी नोट्स अपने देश में दिए, किस किस को दिए, उसके साथ केवाईसी किया है कि नहीं किया है, ये सारा मंथली रिपोर्ट जाना चाहिए. Then later on in 2016, in addition to KYC, they said you also have to look into the money laundering aspect. ये पार्टिसिपेटरी नोट किसी ऐसे कंपनी को तो नहीं दे रहे जो मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग में इन्वॉल्व है. अगर दे रहे हो तो वी आर गोइंग टू कैंसिल योर लाइसेंस ऑल्सो. तो थोड़े थोड़े रिस्ट्रिक्शंस लगा के अब जाके भी पार्टिसिपेटरी नोट्स होते हैं, बट केवाईसी भी होता है, क्वांटिटेटिव रिस्ट्रिक्शंस भी होते हैं, ऐसे थोक के भाव में नहीं मिलता, एंड मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग भी देखी जाती है कि अगर कोई मनी लॉन्ड्रिंग के साथ डील कर रहा है तो उस कंपनी को पार्टिसिपेटरी नोट नहीं मिलना चाहिए. नाउ वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड दैट ये सारे के सारे रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस के अंदर इन्वेस्टमेंट वाया द पार्टिसिपेटरी नोट्स हैव रियली रिजन, व्हिच इज वेरी वेरी गुड फॉर आवर कंट्री. बट अप्रिसिएशन ऑफ रुपी, इफ इट मेक्स योर एक्सपोर्ट्स एक्सपेंसिव, तो देन व्हाट कैन वी डू? Very simple, RBI will use a process called sterilization. आप पढ़ेंगे इसके बारे में, अगर नहीं समझ में आया तो मैं नेक्स्ट क्लास में, आप मेरे से पूछेंगे, मैं आपको बता दूंगी, पर एक बार खुद पढ़ना कि जब रुपी स्ट्रांग हो जाता है तो ये एक्सपोर्ट्स एक्सपेंसिव होने वाली चीज के लिए आरबीआई क्या करता है, उसको स्टेरिलाइजेशन बोलते हैं. पढ़ना, एक बार नहीं समझ में आएगा नेक्स्ट क्लास में पूछना, I'll tell you. Now, this is Brazil has chosen Lula for president, and there was the defeat of Jair Bolsonaro. So, आप सबने ये चीज पढ़ी ही है. This is the last thing that we are dealing with today. जबरदस्ती के करंट अफेयर्स करने की जरूरत नहीं, जो हमारे एग्जामिनेशन पर्सपेक्टिव से इंपॉर्टेंट है वो ही करेंगे, ठीक है. सो लूला वाज ब्राजील्स प्रेसिडेंट फॉर 2 terms, from 2003 to 6 and from 2007 to 11. Right, and massive commodity boom मिला था उस टाइम पे. He really worked for poverty alleviation, welfare programs उसने बनाए थे, and he defeated the incumbent. Incumbent का मतलब होता है office holder, who's the president Jair Bolsonaro, by a very narrow margin. Okay, so like 50.9% to 49.10%. So we can't possibly say that Bolsonaro को लोग नहीं चाहते थे president बनाना. Very close race between the two, right? बाकी करप्शन के केस में in 2018 Lula had served like a 12-year sentence in prison, and in March 2021 this particular conviction was overturned by the Supreme Court, and India has had excellent relations with Brazil under his guidance, and he had visited India as a chief guest at he visited India as a chief guest at the Republic Day Parade in 2004, and then again in 2007 as well as 2008. And he had also hosted Prime Minister Manmohan Singh in 2006 and 2010, and Pratibha Patil in 2008. So काफी close relation रहे हैं. And he was the president of Brazil when BRICS was BRIC. Okay, South Africa was still not a member of the grouping, which was held in Russia in 2009. So that is that about it. Apart from that, because he's focusing on food and housing for the poor, is why maybe he has won the elections, but काफी narrow margin. Baki capital, currency, official language is something that you should keep in mind. Now let's go on to the last aspect of this entire class, your questions. Start giving me your answers quickly. So Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee is constituted under the Food Safety and Standards Act of 2006, GI of Goods Act of 1999. I'm waiting for your answers. Quickly start writing it down. Come on. Environment Protection Act of 1986 and Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Quickly. याद रखो कौन सी मिनिस्ट्री है. कौन सी मिनिस्ट्री इन्वॉल्व है. Come on, I'm waiting for everyone to answer. Whoever is online, answer first, and then I will tell you. Right, beta. So the right answer is Environment Protection Act of 1986. Environment Ministry, right? Acha, consider the following and choose the correct answer. Morbi-based Oreva Group made the Jhulta Pull Bridge, and Richardson and Crudis were awarded the contract in March this year to maintain and manage the bridge by Morbi municipality. What is the answer? Oh Lord, I've given you the answer. Do we know why it is none of the above? My bad. The answer is none of the above because ये उल्टा पुल्टा कर दिया. Yes or no? At least ये बता दो, ये पता चला कि नहीं आया. अच्छा, आप लोग अभी C लिख रहे हो. अच्छी बात है, प्यारे बच्चे. देख ही नहीं रहे हैं कि मैंने लिखा क्या है. ठीक है, so ये उल्टा पुल्टा मैंने कर दिया. I hope I haven't done it. No, I haven't done it here. Come on. So, genetically modified mustard developed in India. Consider the following statements. GM mustard has the genes that allows the plant cross-pollination and hybridization. And GM mustard has been developed by IARI and Punjab Agricultural University. Which of the following are correct? Third question ka answer, quickly. Okay, Supriya का आंसर आ गया. बाकी सारे, I want everyone to answer quickly. Just write it down, बेटा. जो दिमाग में आ रहा है वो लिखो. कौन सा ये क्लैट है? क्लैट की प्रेपरेशन कर रहे हैं ना? गलत आंसर भी लिखना है, बिंदास लिखो, जल्दी से लिखो. कम ऑन. हिमांश का आंसर आ गया, सुप्रिया का आंसर आ गया, रक्षिता का आंसर आ गया, सारे के सारे सही हैं. सो ओनली वन इज द आंसर बिकॉज यहाँ पे दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी आ जाना चाहिए था. ठीक है. और फोर्थ का आंसर, which of the following is issued by registered FPI to overseas investors who want to be a part of the Indian stock market without registering themselves directly? Very simple. Quickly give me your answer. Good. Rakshita, Supriya have answered. What about the rest? Rupal has answered. Very good. Sindhuja is also correct. Well done. The answer is participatory notes. Okay? So that is all from my side. I will see you the next time with current affairs, and keep studying very, very hard, and see you. Bye-bye. All the best.